everybody. I'm your host, John Myers, live from Stillwater, Oklahoma. We have got a great show tonight. It's John Myers. Hey, everybody. Gotta have my notes. It's John Myers from the KICKER UnMasked studios. Gotta have my notes. Alternator. Hey, everybody. We have fun. Hey, everybody. Hit like and subscribe. Right here, right now. It's John Myers. We like to give stuff away. Alternator. Post some more pictures. We got to thank Steve and Becky live from Stillwater, Oklahoma. Don't forget Texas Roadhouse right here, right now. Hey, everybody. Don't forget right here, right now. We have got a great show tonight. Hey, everybody. Had a great dinner tonight. It's John Myers. Right here, right now. Had a great dinner tonight. So, hey, everybody. So, housekeeping. Had a great dinner tonight. So, alternator. Housekeeping. Housekeeping. So, Tuesday night. Housekeeping. From the KICKER UnMasked studios. Housekeeping. Right here, right now. Hey, everybody. So, it's John Myers. Hey, everybody. It's John Myers from the KICKER UnMasked studios. Hey, everybody. From the KICKER UnMasked studios. It's John Myers. Right here, right now. We have got a great show tonight. Hey, everybody. We have got a great show tonight. It's John Myers. Hey, everybody.
Right here.
Hey, everybody, it is Tuesday night. Welcome back to another awesome edition of UnMasked Weekly, our bi-weekly show that we do here at the Stillwater facility right here in Stillwater, Oklahoma. And this is an amazing building. If you guys ever get a chance, come to Stillwater, come see the museum, come see the KICKER facility, because it is open to all. We had a great show last time we were up here. We had good old Christopher Pate talking about staging and imaging and speaker placement. If you missed that, you really need to go back and check it out because it really was an awesome show. We've got a great crew working with me tonight. Of course, we've got Sandy, we've got Ernie, and we got Bill Frog. That's it. We're down another crew member. JW's out taking care of his family, which is always a good thing. So I don't know if I'm scaring people away from the show or if we just keep getting smaller and smaller. But hey, you're getting focused and right to the point. I'm sure we'll get everybody back soon. And you guys probably guessed by now that Tim is on his way to Las Vegas with that wonderful vehicle they've been working on. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. But we've got a great show tonight. We've got the one and only Steve Barber coming up. So, guys, hang on. Right after this break, we're going to dive right in to giveaways and Steve Barber. So come back in a few minutes or 1 minute, however long it lasts. And we're still here.
It's been a long road since the original KICKER christened that first pickup truck. It kicked off a car audio renaissance, and upgrading your music in a vehicle was a requirement. America's music machine became living loud over your passion, your emotion, your existence. Outdoors or on the open road, your sound is KICKER.
All righty, guys. It looks like we are back on the air. Hopefully. We have a little technical glitch in the back, but I think they're getting it all dialed in. We all good back there? I think they're ignoring me. Technical difficulties. Can't even speak right tonight, so. Bear with us. You gotta love a live show. You never know what's going to happen. And sometimes this is exactly what happens. Checking our audio. I hope you guys are. All right. Hey, I guess we're back on track. For all of you that this is your first time, welcome to the show. Those guys that are like experts and like groupies, you already know we try to give away something on every single show. Tonight is no different. So if you're wanting to make sure you register for tonight's giveaways, go ahead and dial into kicker.com/UMweekly for Unmasked Weekly. Ernie, if you can, go ahead and pull up the laptop if that part's going to cooperate. He thinks he can, and he can. Yes, there it is. So when you sign on to kicker.com/UMweekly, this is what you're going to see. It's going to tell you the prizes of the week, and as you scroll down, you can click right there to enter. So at the end of the show, we're going to give away 3 different groups of prizes. The third place is going to get the EB400 wireless Bluetooth earbuds, which are really awesome and moisture resistant. You're going to get a gray Kicker Unmasked t-shirt and a koozie. The second place is going to get the Tabor 2 over-the-ear Bluetooth wireless headphones, the Kicker koozie, and that awesome gray shirt. And the grand prize winner, till they last, and as long as the stock holds up, you're going to get the Cush NCs, which are the noise-canceling Bluetooth headphones. I love these headphones. I tell you guys all the time. In fact, I've just ordered myself 2 more pair of them just so I've got them in case someone decides to steal mine. So make sure you register to win that. At the end of the show, we're going to be giving away all those great prizes, and we're going to announce the winner of the Term Pro contest. So we're going to find out who gets that awesome speaker box generating program from Wayne Harris, our good friend. And that being said, I think we're ready for Steve Barber. We're going to get him out because Steve's really got a lot of work to do tonight. It is SEMA crunch time. I've been there myself many times, and yeah, it can be a real crunch. And we know he's got a lot to get done, so we're going to bring him on right away. And we got some fun things to talk about. Then we're going to let him get back to working on his vehicle and getting ready for the SEMA show. So
Yes,
let's bring up Steve.
Hey, guys. Can you see me?
Steve.
Hear me all right?
I hear you.
All right, that's good. Well, I can see
That's
you.
better than nothing.
Yeah. So how's it going?
It's going good. Usually people would rather like not see me and just hear me, but sometimes they don't get a choice. So we've got a lot of cool things coming up. Obviously, you know, the SEMA show is coming up next week. It's always going to be a really cool show and always a lot of fun. You've got some really cool things coming up at the show, too, besides the fact you're going to have some vehicles there. And I know you're working on a really cool build, and hopefully here in a little bit, Ernie will be able to pull that up so we can actually show you what Steve's working on, because he's got some really cool things he's working on. But that being said, tell us what's going on. I know there's a huge event going on after the SEMA show up in Primm, Nevada. Tell us what's going on,
Yep.
Steve.
Okay, so this is a very crazy 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks for me.
Yeah, don't envy
so
you.
I'll start with SEMA since it's first. So last year I was able to commission SEMA to allow me to bring a bunch of cars there to demonstrate what car audio has become, because the people that come in through there, they don't really get a taste of how crazy our side of the community is versus, you know, most of those people are just door speakers, maybe a sub or two, but they don't see the wild stuff. So SEMA was kind enough to let me do it last year. And they said, okay, well, we liked it. We need to get you a better spot, and we're going to do it again. So they put us in the Silver Lot, as you can see in the picture that's up there, which is right in front of the convention center. And we've got a big 60 by 80 section that we have 9 different vehicles from around the country. One of them being a boat that Jeff owns. You guys know Jeff really well. It's a boat full of kicker. I mean, there's tons of.
It is by far the loudest boat I've ever heard in my life.
It's pretty insane. So got the boat, got a couple different motorcycles, and then 6 other cars, trucks, vans. basically to go and demo for all these people. There's 200,000 to 300,000 people that are going to be coming through SEMA. It's so much bigger than what we're used to for a car show. I mean, it's a trade show, but it's also known as like the world's largest car show because
Oh yeah.
you do have the trade show inside, but the outside is basically just a massive car show. It's a great time. And then after that is my show, and the show that you guys are headline sponsor of, the Showdown, which is in Primm. It's about 25 minutes or so outside of Vegas. And one of the main reasons we moved to Primm was because of how loud everybody is now. There isn't really anywhere in Vegas that will allow us to do what we want to do anymore. Everything's got houses too close, apartments, building, anything that we can rattle gets rattled, and we get the cops called on us. So,
Yeah, I don't know if you remember when we had the Alma Gates Bronco at the Hard Rock, and we warned them, hey, this is the loudest vehicle in the world. At the time it was. And they're like, hey, no problem. So, we're going to, test this thing this afternoon, to make sure it's all ready to go. You always have to have a test burp. And we hit that thing, and within 3 minutes, the manager came running out of the Hard Rock. You got to shut that off. You can't do that again. It's like, we told you, it's the loudest vehicle in the world. He said, I had no idea what you meant by that. He said, you can't do that. The switchboard lit up. They thought it was an earthquake or an explosion. They didn't know what's going on. They interrupted all the meetings. You can't do that anymore. So, yeah, we pretty much outrocked the Hard Rock. And that was back when 162 dB was, the loudest in the world. And now, what are we up to?
185.
Yeah, I was going to say 185, which is just astounding.
It's insane.
10 years ago, if you would have said, hey, we're going to be doing 160 or 185 dB, I would have said, no, we're not. It's impossible. We can't do that. But here we are. So, and we're only going up from there, right?
It's been crazy, the progression those guys have made in the last 5 years or so. Just going from high 70s to mid 80s really quickly. It's been pretty crazy. And I'm glad I'm not one of those guys, because trying to go after that lofty of a number now, it's just got to be so expensive and so much time consuming and so much testing. And no thanks. They could have fun.
I was fortunate enough to go down with Cruz Pendragon last week. Bill and I were, and we hung out with the race team, and it's probably the same thing. You've got one heck of a pit crew. You've got a great support staff. You've got all the best equipment and the best tuners, and it basically is getting to that level. Those guys are talking for each quarter-mile run that they do, if nothing breaks, $15,000 to $25,000 if they don't break anything. So it's not to that level yet, but it definitely compares, in some aspects to these NHRA dragsters. So, absolutely. I would be willing to guess that the NHR dragsters are almost as loud as some of these systems. I mean, that was beyond loud. Those nitro funny cars, that goes right through you, and just like these systems do. But I'm going to quit rambling, because you've got a lot to talk about. Tell us what all's going on. You've got a lot of different venues going on at this event. It's not just, just base only, is it?
It's not just SPL. I mean, we've got 2 different organizations running SQ, and one of the first time we're ever doing it. I don't know how often or how many times EMA has been ran in the United States, but it's Europe's basically big. I don't even know if it's just SQ or if EMA is also SPL. I'd have to guess it's probably both. But we are going to be running EMA SQ as well as USACI SPL, DB Drag SPL, Mecca SPL, as well as maybe Mecca SQ, Base Wars, and IASCA, as well as IASCA SQ. So we've got 6 different orgs and a bunch of SQ there's a lot to choose out of at the Showdown. So no matter what org you compete in, we got you.
Yeah, it sounds like something for everyone. Now, I'm just curious, we were talking about this earlier before the show. When you've got, these, 160, 170 plus dB vehicles, and you're trying to do sound cue, the same parking lot, how's that going to work? I'm just curious.
Yeah, well, so what we do is we do sound quality starts first. They start at 8 a.m. And there's not as many people running sound quality, so it doesn't take quite as long as SPL. And then we won't start SPL until after sound quality is over. So from about 8 till 11 is about how long it'll take to get everybody's SQ runs in. And then 11 o'clock or so, we start SPL runs.
I'm definitely looking forward to hearing some of the competitors' cars. I just, I don't think I could ever own too many car stereos. I mean, because there's something about every one you like a little bit better than the next one. So, yeah, it's really exciting. So, hopefully, if anybody that's watching tonight or watching this and rebroadcast this week, if you can get out there for this show, you're going to see everything car audio related. It's going to be one heck of a time. In fact, I convinced my superiors that, hey, I needed to stay an extra 2 days out there just to go to the show. So I'm really looking forward to coming out and hanging out with you guys and just seeing what all gives. It's going to be a ball.
Yeah. This should be a great time. I'm hoping for a great turnout. There have been a lot of people talking about the show online and Facebook and Instagram, and it seems like we're going to get a pretty good turnout this year. So I'm excited about that. And obviously, my build is finally going to be playing and debuting at the Showdown. It's been a crunch the last 2 weeks, but I think I'm going to get there. I'm just running power wire right now, and to that battery right there.
Nice.
And I've got 2 of the 4 rants, so a couple more, and start wiring stuff up. Load the amps. Subs are already in and wired, so it's just a matter of really just kind of loading the rest of the equipment now and turning it on, and at least it'll be ready for the show and playing. And then I get to bring it back home and take it all apart again because it's not pretty, and I can't build a car that doesn't look good. So,
right.
Yeah.
I'm kind of with you. It's, it's got to look the part and sound the part. So, anything worth doing right's worth overdoing.
Yeah. There's the steering wheel.
Ernie's in the back said, let's talk about this picture right here. That's one heck of a steering wheel or an airbag.
Yeah, it's a steering wheel. It was actually way easier to make than I was thinking it was going to be. Just pulled the stock steering wheel off and cut it apart just so I could basically get the adapter part. And just kept cutting it until it was small enough to fit where your guys' motor would fit in the basket. And just drilled used a couple self-tappers. There's some big self-tappers, and
nice.
Screwed the adapter on there, and then it just slid right on. It was way easier than I was expecting. And it's fully functional. It won't play music because it's the coil. It's not all quite hooked up, but it's a fully functional steering wheel.
I give Ernie a bunch of crap on that because he's always talking about frequency steering. So there's a great example of it.
Yeah.
So that obviously is the start of your build.
Yeah, so there's 9 L7S's in there. They're all dual 2s, and I'm wiring them series parallel to 1 amp for a 0.44 load.
Nice.
So after rise, I'll probably see somewhere, I don't know, between 1 and 2 ohms, probably 1.5-ish, maybe 2. But the amplifier I'm running should supply these plenty of power. I'm guessing about 1,000 watts each is what they're gonna see.
They're gonna love that.
About RMS, yeah. And 2 cubes each ported or on the sealed side, and the sealed or the ported section's about twice as big. It's about a 2-to-1 ratio. So it should do really well across the entire bandwidth, and I'm hoping it gets pretty loud. I will run it through the lanes just for fun at the Showdown. My doors do not close, right? I mean, they close, but they don't latch. So it might have some people in the lanes holding the doors shut and stuff.
We'll bring some tie-down straps.
Or some straps, yeah, exactly.
See that happen quite a bit. Do you want to tell us about the rest of the system or what the batteries are, the amplifiers? I mean, if you don't, that's great. But if you want to, I mean, we're not going to be offended if you mention other manufacturers. I mean, we're all in this together. We're all in it to have some fun and, generate some excitement. So there's no hard feelings anyway.
Well, the battery is just a big custom bank. Everybody calls them SQ cells. I think the way you pronounce it is like Shinquan. I'm not exactly sure, but it's an LTO bank.
Be careful how you say that.
Yeah, I don't want to offend anybody. So, but the SQ cells, LTO, it's a 120 amp hour bank, and it should support 60,000 watts continuous, like no problem. 100,000 watt burps or so. So it's pretty stout bank, and it's pretty crazy that it's It's 41 inches by 5.5 inches. So it's not that big for something that can support that much power.
See, that's awesome.
Pretty crazy. And for now, the Salt Sundown Salt 8K. You guys know the Sundown guys really well, so that's a solid amplifier that'll play down at the ohm load I'm loading it at, and should work all day. I shouldn't have any issues with that thing. And the roof, I didn't really talk too much about the roof. So if Ernie or whoever's back there wants to pull up another picture of the roof.
He's on it, he says. I can hear him
yeah.
mumbling back there. Oh, no, he wants something.
Okay. So I've got 12 of your 11-inch cans on the roof.
That's crazy. I love
it. Originally, I had a 2400 per 4. So I had 3 2400s on there. Or, no, wait. 1200.2s? That's what was on there. And until you guys possibly have something bigger, full range coming, I'm going to be running Sundown 3500 watt full ranges to each 4. So basically 3 3500s, 10,000 watts or so to those 12. So they should get pretty damn loud.
Yeah, I think this is definitely going to be a concert on wheels.
That's kind of the point. And, and living in Vegas, there's so many opportunities to where I could use this thing for different concerts and shows and all kinds of stuff that they have going on here, festivals where I could, talk to the promoters of the show and be like, hey, I got this really cool vehicle. I bring it out, do some demos for people, play some of your music, whatever.
Right.
And I can't wait to take it down the strip and get some unsuspecting girls in there to get some hair tricks, and it should be a good time.
Which is something we're going to talk about here in a little bit, or the hair tricks. But we just got to keep talking about your vehicle because this thing is just too cool. Looks like you've got a lot of work going on right there at the windshield alone. Are you actually going to try to keep glass in this thing from the looks of it?
Yeah. So the idea is to put a stock windshield back over top, just so it looks stock.
Oh, that's cool. Actually, never even thought of that. So this is all like an inside liner then, and then you'll put the stock windshield back over it. That's great. I like that idea.
Exactly. Yep. But yeah, I had, it's all steel. The whole build forward to front or back to front is all steel. I've got Bobby Gately actually cutting my windshields out right now. They're 1.5 inch acrylic for each side. But yeah, it's just full extreme. The only thing I don't have in there yet is a hump or a center console hump, extreme hump. And I will have one, but it's going to be completely removable and really only in there for when I run in the lanes. This thing is mainly just meant for demos and to go to shows and have a good time.
So what do you think that thing's going to weigh when you're done?
It was 5,800 pounds loaded before, and that's with subs, wood, and all that. The rear end's looking pretty low right now, so I'm going to have to say it'll probably get close to 7,000 once I get the Solo X's in there.
Yeah, I think when we had the previous red Bronco, we had 44 lead acid batteries in that thing with everything, and I think it was 14,300 pounds. When I built the rear suspension, it was 4-inch square tubing with 1/4-inch thick wall. That was the rear suspension, wedged between the body and the differential. So yeah, not really meant to drive a whole lot.
Yeah, that'll be one thing I definitely have to do with this. I wish I knew was more mechanically inclined with the car itself, because it definitely does need kind of a revamp of the suspension, probably some heavy-duty airbags or something. But at the moment, it's just C-notched in the back so that the axle will clear the frame. But yeah, this question here, is it going to have a loading wall of any kind?
Yeah, from Miller Performance Audio.
Yeah. Yes, it will. For the Showdown, it will not. I don't have the time to really put into testing to find out where it needs to be honest. So it's going to go just like it is. I'm sure it'll be fine because with how much cone area I have, the opening is probably pretty close to where it's going to be. There's probably not going to be a whole lot of closing going on there.
So for some of the people out there, tell them what a loading wall is.
Well, the term loading wall is from a long time ago, and it was used primarily at the beginning. They would literally put a wall right in front of the subs to load the subwoofers. And as fourth orders and stuff became more and more popular, that front opening where there's a port wall is just called a loading wall now. It's
Okay.
not necessarily loading anything, not like it used to. It's more or less just kind of tuning the enclosure and closing that opening down. Um, but yeah, as far as like it actually being loading wall, a real loading wall is meant to load the subwoofer, and you don't really have to do that anymore. I guess it's not like it used to be. I don't know why they exactly have to do it. I'm not an SPL magician, but that's where the term loading wall came from, and then it just kind of carried over to our port opening walls being called loading walls. At least that's my
Cool.
interpretation of it.
Yeah, I definitely remember those from way back in the day, and the technology has changed so much, and the science, and it's just crazy what's happening with these SPL vehicles. That's another reason I'm excited to get out there next weekend, because you got competitors from all over the country coming out with all different theories and all different recipes for maximum SPL. So it's going to be kind of fun. Hopefully they don't all cover them up so we can't see what's going on.
No, that's not a thing anymore, luckily. I mean, some of those really high SPL guys, they're maybe still a little secretive, but not much. You see pictures of everything, and they really talk about way more than it used to be. I mean, you used to go to S. Go ahead.
Yeah, it seems like it's more friendly now. People are all excited, where before it was, so cutthroat. But it was it was frustrating, because you go to these events and, they would back the vehicle off the trailer, run it through the lane, cover it up, put it back in the trailer. So there really was no spectator aspect to it. It was just all, compete and, stash it in the corner and hide it again. So that's what's really fun about the events that you're doing is, I mean, these are, literally in your face and right there, so people can see and experience all this.
Yeah, it's definitely more of a demo event. I mean, given it is a competition, there is SPL competition going on. The majority of the show is just a demo fest. All these cars, not all of them, but I'd say 90% of these cars are demo machines that will run through the lanes. And then you got 10, 15% of them that are dedicated SPL vehicles that don't demo, that literally just come to burp. So it's so different than it used to be. I mean, it used to be you guys would just coming to burp, like you said, throwing it back on a trailer and getting out of there. Where now it's the equipment's gotten so crazy, like that you could run these super big amplifiers with these subs that have a ton of throw and just move a ton of air and have a great time. Where you just couldn't do that 15 years ago, really.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting, watching the videos and, being out of it for so long and now getting back into it. It seems like, people with the videos, they're all after the carnage. That's what they want to see. They want to see, door panels tearing, windows shattering and, consoles and mirrors being ripped out of the vehicles. I mean, it's barbaric and fun. Try it at home.
Yeah. There's one part of car audio that hasn't made its way out west yet. It seems to be very popular in the South, is the trunk guys. They put a bunch of speakers in their trunk in like a sealed box in these like old Oldsmobile, like these huge boats.
Yeah, the box and the bubbles and the...
Yeah, and whoever could rattle the trunk the loudest seems to be what they're going after. Literally, who can make their car sound the worst without getting her is the winner. Just another thing people do. It has to do with that carnage thing. They like seeing the car destroyed by the bass. I don't know. Yep. It's something.
You are starting to break up a little bit, Steve. I'm not sure if we're losing you in the feed, but and you're right. I've told this story, I think, at least one other time on this show. When I worked for Kenwood, I was doing an event in Iowa, and we were doing SQ, and of course they were measuring SPL, and one of the guys came up and he said, "Can I run my exhaust?" And we're kind of like, yeah, pay your $20, sure. So we went and got his truck, and we put the microphone 3 feet behind his truck and fired it up. And then you looked out and you see people running through the parking lot and getting in their vehicles and getting in line. So we did tailpipe SPL. It was fun. It was different. So just hey, whatever you want to have fun with.
You never know. Absolutely.
Love that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So one of the topics we were going to talk about tonight is, obviously we better talk a little bit about it since we told everybody we were going to, are the hair tricks. So, do you know, when did that really start? What really started the whole hair trick thing, and what is a hair trick, more importantly? Because I definitely have no idea what they are anymore.
Yeah, me too. I do the beard trick thing now.
See, I can't even do that. I should probably.
Well, hair
Or I should
trick.
don't do the ear hair trick. Don't. Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
If you're getting ear tricked, you're in something really loud. That's a good one. But a hair trick is basically just getting somebody with long hair in your car with your a vehicle that plays low end bass loud enough to move enough air to move the person's hair. And you get some really crazy ones where the hair will just take up the entire window, and by the time the song's over, she's going to be combing and brushing her hair for 10-15 minutes to get all those knots out.
Yeah, that
And
all snarled and.
oh yeah, and that makes for really good videos, obviously. And that just kind of turned into just floating stuff, floating towels, floating big blankets, and huge like winter coats and whatever. The heavier thing you could float, the more of a badass you are, I guess. In our
Now, isn't there someone that's actually making towels that they claim specifically, for floating towel tricks?
oh yeah, I mean we do ourselves. Our brand
See?
does.
I knew it.
We make float towels, yeah, and actually, you guys have some float towels as well. You're kicking on them slash JY Power ones that we made a couple years ago. But yeah, anything that's light enough to float can be tricked or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it's become a kind of like a visceral part of our community. It's a way to demonstrate what's actually going on in there because, obviously a video, you could get an idea from the way it's muffling the microphone and all that, but until you see something, like hair or the roof or a towel or whatever, getting destroyed in the windows, then you actually get an idea of what's going on in there.
Yeah, and I really think it's kind of ironic that we're talking about hair tricks with someone by the name of Barber. So just kind of worked out that way.
It just was meant to be, yeah.
The videos I've seen, people getting their hats ripped off and sunglasses, and it's pretty cool. And the laptop speakers are never going to give you that experience, so that's why it's really important if you guys are even close to come out and see this fun stuff.
Yeah, it's given that you said that, it actually brings something to mind. If you guys ever watch videos of bass online or cars giving demos, throw on a set of good headphones, and you'll be surprised how much better that video is going to sound. You could actually hear the bass. It doesn't sound like pure distortion. It's more or less just like if you're watching it on your phone, your speaker in that phone can't reproduce what's there. But if you put on a good set of headphones, you get a little better experience of the video.
Yeah, that little 5mm diaphragm phone just doesn't cut it.
No, you need to put a little Solo X in there.
There you go.
Start making Solo X phone bed or phone mic or speakers.
Hey, but I'll make a note of that. That would actually be kind of fun. So, back to the whole hair trick thing. What do you have any idea what vehicle really started that, or where it started, or how? I mean, it's.
Man, I don't know. The first hair trick. I'm sure
Obviously
it was way back in the day. I mean, I think I saw videos of Alma's Bronco doing hair tricks. So
yeah, see,
it's
not
been going on for a while.
The kicker horn, but that's the first one I ever remember. And I remember, a couple of times we did it was more by accident, because people wanted to stand in the door, and then of course you get the girl with her boyfriend that stands there and her hair stands straight out, and everybody freaks out. But that's the first one that I knew of. Like I said, not saying that hey, we absolutely invented it, but
when was that? Do you recall?
90. Let's see. I started with KICKER in '96, so it would have had to have been. The L7 came out in 2000, so like 2001, 2002, somewhere in there.
Okay, I do know I saw a hair trick before that.
Cool.
In person.
Well, good. We're getting to the bottom of this. So tell us.
I'm thinking. So 97. A guy named Ron Canosa used to own, or still does own, Audio Excellence here in Las Vegas. You guys probably have dealt with him and probably still do. I mean,
I've said that name sounds familiar.
It's going a long time. So he had a wagon, 96 Impala wagon that had 24 JL 12W3s and a clamshell in it. and it was running like 12 PPI. Man, back
Like,
then, all amps,
like the
1,000 watt
Art
amps.
series.
Uh, no, it was the silver ones after that.
Okay.
And this is the first time I've ever seen anything float in a car. They were just throwing newspapers in there, and anything they threw in the window would catch and float. And then some girls would get up close and their hair would go. But it wasn't like a videoed hair trick like the Alma Gates one, because I actually saw that maybe a month ago. I think I just somewhere came in my feed or on YouTube. I saw Alma Gates giving that hair trick, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it was always a lot of fun. And I remember, people putting phone books in their ports and, just shredding the phone books.
Yep. Yeah. And CDs back when we used to use CDs.
Yeah. Well, hey, I still do. But, I just bought a new truck last week and it doesn't have a CD player. I'm a little put off by it. It's like, man, what am I going to do with all my CDs? I guess I'm going to have to start going high-res digital. But, I've been planning on that anyway. So just one extra little nudge. So,
well, you keep those CDs because it'll be like vinyl eventually.
Yeah, it'll come back. Hey, I still have laser discs, and most people don't even know what those are, but they're like a 12-inch CD, for videos. But I still have a stack of those at home. Don't have a player anymore, but I still got all the laser discs, back in the late 80s. And Pioneer made a laser disc that was a video player that was a needle on like a record. Those were really awful. Yeah, it was like a cartridge you slid in, and it actually played like a needle on a record, and it did everything. Wow. They were terrible. But hey, we had to start somewhere.
For sure.
And everybody's going, like, quit talking about that stuff. Get back to something cool and exciting like hair tricks. So if people are out there wanting to do hair tricks, I guess, what is the main ingredient? I mean, you're talking cone travel, cone area, power. Do you want sealed box, ported box, band pass? I mean, what really are the, if someone really wants to get into this and move as much air as possible, what type of setup are they looking to do? And obviously, you got to power it too somehow.
Right. Well, I mean, any enclosure will do it. Just need enough cone area and enough power. It seems like a ported or a sixth order may get a little more low in extension easily compared to maybe a fourth order or a sealed box. But just something on the bigger end of what the sub calls for. Usually it will help with low end extension and just enough power. And you should do hair tricks. You need cone area. That's probably number one. And then go from there to power. And then once you have enough power, it doesn't take much. Really, anything in the below 150s usually will hair trick. So you could get a decent little system together and hair trick.
And here we are talking about this, and it just popped into my mind. It's like, dang it, we should have brought that out. But we actually had a hair trick chair that we built with the original Cello X18 that was basically powered off the wall. So we configured it up with, I think they were 4-ohm coils. It was about 3,600 watts on that 18. Continuous power just plugged into the wall. But we built this, enclosure and tuned it at 60 hertz, which was, the frequency of AC coming out of the wall. That thing, you just had a button you push and you could play it as long as you want. The thing would never blow up, but it was a lot of fun. But, I wish we would have brought that out. Maybe we'll have to get that out and bring it out next time to show it off and just show people some of the cool stuff we used to do.
Yeah, that'd be dope. Yep.
So when it comes into the hair tricks, looking at your vehicle, how reinforced it is. Obviously, if you're just doing the hair tricks, that reinforcement is not quite as necessary, I would think.
Well,
I mean, obviously, it's going to have some factor of, effect on it.
Yeah, reinforcing a build is probably my number one thing to do with any build. Any build you can reinforce the enclosure, you are going to gain output because you're stopping the loss of output that the enclosure is giving. Basically, if your enclosure is moving at all, that's output that's lost. So the stronger you can make that enclosure, the more you're going to get out of your equipment. So definitely brace the enclosure and anything in your car that you can. It will help hair tricks. And SPL. It'll help everything. So yeah, definitely bracing is the number one thing for me when it comes to big builds is you have to have the car able to support all that pressure you're about to put in it and not have it all lost in the panels and in the box and everything else. So if you have a really strong car, it doesn't take much at all to hair trick.
Right. And that goes, with the SQ side of it as well. Lots of sound dampening material to make sure, kick panels, door panels, the mounting surfaces don't resonate, they don't move, they don't color the sound, because any amount they move is a parasitic loss. I mean, it's taking away from the output, and, bass is no different. Like you talked about the trunk guys, I mean, way back in the late 80s, early 90s, the big thing was how high could you bounce a quarter on the roof or the trunk of your car? And, that was things you could bounce at the highest, but in reality, that's kind of counterproductive to, what we're trying to do. That was just one of those other little, facets of the car audio world that spun off from it. But, the quarter toss.
That's like those trunk guys I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
They should do that. They could toss those quarters way up.
So I remember I had a guy that came in and we did some work on his vehicle and did a pretty loud system in it. I mean, it was a couple 12s, and back then, that was a lot if you had a pair of 12s. So he came back in to have some other work done, and while I was there, I remember, my installer, tightened up the license plate and a few things like that. But we never touched the subwoofers in the car. Remember, I think we just added a new set of front speakers. So the guy leaves. About 30 minutes, he came back just madder than hell. Like, what'd you do to my bass? Where's all my bass? It's like, we didn't touch your bass. My car's rattling like it was. It's like, we didn't touch it. It's the same as it was. Well, it doesn't sound like it did. The car isn't rattling. So Dan, my installer, got really angry. I grabbed the guy's keys. Give me your car. So he takes it back. He unscrews the wing. It was like an old Pontiac or something, and throws a handful of washers up inside the wing and bolts it back down, pulled it back around, and that guy couldn't have been happier. It was crazy.
Yeah, that's weird, but I get it, I guess. You like something.
Ernie, just here's another funny story that talking about, SPL and, big speakers. And I was in Danville, Illinois. This is back when I worked for Kenwood. And Ernie's going to bust up when he hears this story. I think we were just talking about it yesterday or today. But, here I am, tie and shirt, back in the, early 90s, and everybody, was trying to, dress nice and, look professional. Guy came in and he says, "Yo, man, cut me on Dubadines and a snatch out." I'm like, what? He said, "Cut me on Dubadines and a snatch out and put it up." So I'm thinking about it. It's like, what are you talking about? I said, wait a minute. Do you want me to turn on two 15-inch woofers on a pull-out radio, if you remember the pull-out radios, and you want me to crank up the volume? That's what I said. It's like, no, you didn't. You said, "Cut me on Dubadines and a snatch out."
Yeah.
It's so funny, all the little different terms we get, the splits and, the bi-nines and and one of the guys called up, he said, "Yeah, I need some 54s. Okay, 54s. So 5 1/4. No, 54s. 5 1/4, show me what you want. So he pointed at a 6x9. He said, 6 times 9, 54. Oh. No.
Okay.
So it's fun, it's just all these different things. We're definitely not a stuffy industry, so you got to have fun with this. And like I say, the hair tricks are just so much fun. And, I know we'll be doing a lot of that out in Vegas. And, I hope you've warned these people, where we're going to do this, how loud this is going to be. Because, the last couple I've been to have been pretty violent, but they're really exciting and a lot of fun.
Yeah, I did warn them, but just like you were saying earlier, you can warn them all you want, and until they experience it, they have no clue. And that's actually what happened at SEMA last year. The first day we first turned on, within 20 minutes, just like your experience was, we had a guy running out in a suit and his badge flopping all over the place. And he's like, "You guys need to turn down," because we had no idea he was this loud. I was like, "Well, I told you." So yeah, they know now, but yeah, hopefully, and that's kind of why we're way out in Prim. We can't really make anybody mad, and we literally
At least nobody mad in Vegas.
Yeah.
Now, if you can make someone mad in Vegas from Prim, you've got a system. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
That would be insane. But yeah, it should be good, and I don't think we'll have any issues playing all day Saturday and Sunday.
No, I bet it go on. Like I say, Bill and I are coming out, and it was fun for me, taking the guys to the drag races, last weekend that, never been to NHRA drag races, just been to the local drags. Until you're standing on the line with a Nitro Funny Car, you cannot describe, you cannot get that feeling from a TV or a video. You have to see this in person. You have to experience it, because those things are so loud. That sound goes right through you. I mean, it moves you. It's crazy. And we literally had earplugs, headphones on, and we're covering up our ears, on top of that. Some of those cars were just so loud.
Yeah, the first one I ever went to, I remember when we parked in the parking lot and there was a car running and it did its, brah, super loud. And I turned to my buddy who's been to a bunch of, I was like, what the hell was that? He's like, that was the car. And I was like, are you serious? We're like, I don't know, half a mile away from the strip still. And I could not believe it. And like you said, oh yeah. And when you get up to the pit and they let you stand, right next to them when they turn them on for their testing, and you basically just tear up because of all the gases from
those nitro fumes are brutal.
Oh yeah, and it's so loud, like you said. It's louder than bass. I'm sorry, we're not quite nitro loud yet. At least outside the car, I don't think so. I mean, that car, like being that close when they rip it, it's like being in a 170 dB vehicle, loud wise.
Yeah, it is something
crazy.
Definitely to basically experience. And talking about some of the drags, each one of those cylinders are about 1,400 horsepower per cylinder in those cars. You're talking about 12,000 horsepower V8s at under 500 cubic inches. But the SBL world's getting just as crazy. I mean, you look at the L7X, it's 69 pounds for a 12-inch woofer, and that's not even the biggest out there. You'd remember the MTX, the jackhammer, at like 326 pounds, if I remember right.
Right.
They're big square sub, and in fact, that one actually started out round. But it's just it's the extreme, like not even the end. It's just along the progress of what's going on in this industry, and it's so much fun, and just to see where people take it and what it can do. So and we're proud to be getting back into it. So eventually. But we were also talking about SEMA. You got something else going on at SEMA right after SEMA Friday night. We haven't talked about that a whole lot, because not only are you're going to be at the SEMA show and we're doing the big thing afterwards, but Friday night. Tell us about that.
So SEMA has a after party basically that's open to the public, because SEMA itself is basically just for industry people, and you can still kind of get your way in there, but for the most part, when the public wants to see these cars, they do the SEMA Ignited parade and then after party. So all the cars Friday, like at 4 o'clock-ish when the convention is done, they'll do a parade that's about a mile, maybe a little less, about 3/4 of a mile from the convention up to a lot that's outside of the West Hall. And they've got big grandstands set up, and they do basically a big car show. That's open to the public. I think it's like $20 or $25 to get in. And they have Formula Drift going on, demonstrations. We will be there with all the car audio vehicles doing demos. And it's just a great time. If you're in Vegas for the Showdown Friday, definitely come to SEMA Ignited Friday night and get a little experience of what you're going to have for the weekend. And if you're just in town in Vegas and you're not in town for the Showdown, but you're watching the show, come to SEMA Ignited and get a little experience of kind of what SEMA's all about, at least the best parts of it, without all
and the fact that you take these, some $1 million, vehicles from the SEMA show and they actually drive them down the street, and you can actually finally walk up and see them. It's great for, some of the consumers that can't get into the show, because it's pretty crazy, and to actually see these vehicles outside. And in my opinion, cars were meant to drive. They're not meant to be trailered everywhere. I mean, that's what cars do. So I will never own anything I can't drive. I may not drive it a lot, but I better at least be able to drive it once in a while. So it's cool to see some of those vehicles come out of the show, and it is really cool to watch the parade, like you said, with the grandstands that they set up. I remember, all the car shows, that was the big thing with the civic auditoriums. Everybody lined up, because you left the bottom, there was a big ramp coming up out of the auditorium, so all the guys were doing burnouts all the way up the ramp. But they don't let you do that anymore. But that was, people lining up to see all the excitement, everything going on.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, Ignited is going to be a good time, and like you said, it's a chance for people to see these cars that you normally can't see. I mean, there's some really rare vehicles that are going to be coming through there. Like even a couple cars. I saw one last year that was like a 1 of 10 vehicle car. Like you almost nobody should drive, but it was in the parade, and you could get a couple feet away from it, and it's pretty neat. And even like some really viral cars. Like last year, at the time, there was a guy who built a. God, I think it was a Jeep Gladiator that was 6 wheels. It had a
Oh,
dual
yeah.
axle, and it had been making a bunch of waves, and that was part of the parade. And you could just come right up to it, literally touch any part of it. They almost didn't care. And it's something like that. You'll see vehicles like that you've been seeing online if you're a car guy. Um, you'll see cars like that there, and be able to meet the owners and have a good time more than just seeing it at a SEMA booth, because this is you get the car show atmosphere where everybody's talking about their builds and all the time and effort they put into it, and look at this little part and that, it becomes the kind of a gearhead. Everybody's gearhead personality comes out at SEMA at the Ignited show versus, at SEMA, it's still a little bit more of a trade show. So you're
Right.
on your best behavior and you're doing the corporate thing, but then Ignited, everybody is letting loose.
Yeah,
It's a good time.
I remember them selling adult beverages, and there's food at the event, and souvenirs. I mean, pretty much anything for everyone. And kids are welcome.
yeah.
There was kids running around all over, and kind of getting their feet wet into this crazy automotive world. And
Yep.
I remember seeing a picture one time. It says, introduce your kids to car audio or cars, and they'll never have enough money for drugs because they'll get hooked on that, spending all their money.
100%.
What do you think some of these SPL vehicles, what do you think they got invested in some of these things? I mean, I kind of have my ideas, but, you're a lot closer to it than I am.
Well, a lot of the really big builds have help, like I do from you guys and from some of their manufacturers. But let's just say if you were to build a vehicle, let's take Stephen Duncan's. He was a van that's been all over the country. He won our Deadliest Demo Award at Slam. A build like that, I'd say if you were to have somebody build it for you, it's probably going to be pretty close to $100,000.
Yeah, or more, I would think. I mean, easily.
Or more. Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on who's building it. So if you have Bobby Gailey building it, it could be a few $100,000. But
yeah, but it'd be perfect. It'd be awesome.
It would be amazing, and it would be a museum piece, basically. But yeah, you're probably right. It probably is more than I've been so fortunate to be in the industry and get stuff at discounts and this and that, and so it hasn't hurt my wallet quite as bad as some other people maybe. But yeah, I mean, maybe Duncan's build would be more like 150,000, which sounds crazy to me. But it's I mean, there are 12 $2,000 amplifiers in there, and then there's the subs and the steel work and all that stuff that goes into it. Just the labor alone, I mean, it does add up. So I do all the stuff myself, so I'm not paying $150, $200 an hour to get stuff done, and that's where the bulk of all your huge build money comes from. And most of us guys that have these big builds we are doing them ourselves for the most part. Yeah. So.
And the cool thing about it is everyone doing their own. I mean, everyone's got a little bit different opinions. So you get some pretty cool and creative things. I remember one of the SPL vehicles, I can't remember if it was a Cadillac or what it was, but I think it was like loaded with 186 5x7s. I mean, they were kind of like stair-stepped. I mean, they were just everywhere. And it was pretty dang loud. It was actually pretty cool. That was at Nopi. That was actually, I remember, that was at Nopi right after 9/11 because we actually had to drive there because they canceled all the flights. But that's where I saw that vehicle. We had the Bronco out there and having all kinds of fun. But
speaking of the Bronco, let me ask you a question real quick. Because since this is a hair trick episode, obviously the Bronco has hair tricks. It has to. There's no way it doesn't hair trick. So did you guys do any hair tricks for the Bronco before you sent it off to Vegas?
No, we did not. We're saving all that excitement for later. So
Okay.
there won't be any spy videos. And, in actuality, for those of you that don't know, the Bronco thing, it's only basically going to do hair tricks because it has no glass in the front doors at all. So just to make sure that we're not, grenading glass every time. And I'm getting my glasses on because I'm going to have Ernie pull up my laptop here. I actually got some pictures of it right before it got loaded up on the trailer. Ernie's got them there too, so I guess he doesn't need to pull up my laptop. But there's a little sneak preview of what you guys are going to see if you see it in Vegas.
Yeah.
And,
is it 912s, right?
Yes.
Nice.
And of course, we've got all the Street Series mids, and we're going to talk about those, after we let you go, because I know you've got a lot of work to do. I know you're, kind of crunching on getting your stuff done.
Yep. Yes, sir. Yeah, it looks loud. That thing looks pretty loud.
I think there's only one thing we haven't really covered, and maybe we did. Maybe got so excited I just forgot it already. We're talking about the event in Prim. We hadn't really said exactly where it is and what times.
Okay. It's at Whiskey Pete's. So Prim, basically what Prim is, it's the California-Nevada border. And the reason there's even a town there is because California has the lottery and we do not. So the closest place to buy a lottery ticket is the California-Nevada border on the I-15. So they put a little lottery place there and ended up turning into a casino. Can you guys still hear me? I kind of lost your audio. You can hear me still? Yes? Okay. I can't hear you guys. Okay, so basically that area turned into a few different casinos. There we go. Now I can hear it. The people that own those casinos just bought that whole area up, still run the lottery store, and now have 1, 2, 3. There's 3 casinos there, hotels. And we're at one called Whiskey Pete's, which is on the west side of the I-15. And the show roll-in is 9 a.m. till 12 p.m. on Saturday, and then 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Sunday for roll-in. And then the show just goes till dark. It basically starts at 9 when roll-in starts, and it'll go to about 6-ish Saturday and about 5-ish on Sunday with the change of time change.
Cool. Well, that way everybody knows. And we've got one other order of business. I know you're doing a charity event at this. So tell us about your charity event, and I think we got a couple very special things we're going to take up. Actually, we got a bunch of stuff, but I got 2 of them that are actually up here we're going to show you in just a minute. But tell us all about your charity event and, what people can do and how they can help.
Okay, so a good portion of our raffle proceeds are going to go to I wouldn't really. It is a charity. It's something we run as a car club. It's called SOC, which is short for Save Our Christmas. So the money we generate from the raffle, as well as another show that we have December 13th, I believe, which is the Save Our Christmas show, where we accept donations like canned food and blankets and clothing and all that stuff. So we use the money from this raffle, as well as money we generate from that show, to feed, clothe, hygiene kits, toys and stuff for the kids for about 500 people or more, 500 less fortunate people Christmas week. So we'll go out and we'll set up a big area with a bunch of canopies and tables, and we've got a bunch of people that have been doing it with us for many years. We've got tamales. We've got a barbecue guy that sets up that we cook as a club, maybe like 20 pork loins or more. I don't know, 30 pork loins. And everybody gets a really good holiday style hot meal. Mashed potatoes, corn, a couple good chunks of meat. We've got the tamales. We've got desserts, and then tables and tables full of blankets and clothing and hygiene kits and everything that you would need, being less fortunate. So this is I think the 21st year that we and not me, I've been doing it for the last 7 or 8 with the club. That's when I joined, but they've been doing it for 20 plus years, and they never miss a year. It's pretty awesome.
Well, that's pretty cool. Ernie, can you go ahead and show them a couple of things we're donating? Yep, these are signed by Steve Irby. We've got an Impulse. I think that's a 352 XI Impulse amp. which I remember those that back about the ZR time, and one of the original gold KICKER Comp A series from 1986. So
That's
anybody
amazing.
that is watching this, if you do bid on these and actually happen to get the highest bid, these technically are museum pieces. There is no warranty on them. So if you hook that woofer up, blow it sky high, don't send it back to warranties. Hey, I just bought it. It's brand new. Nope, these are pretty much museum pieces, and just it's a couple things we're donating for the show, just to help the unfortunate out there, and that's really awesome. You guys are doing that. I wish more people would be in tune like that, and more times of the year as well. I mean, obviously Christmas is important, but people need stuff all the time. So help out your fellow man, and that's all I'm going to say about that before we get too crazy. But anything else you want to throw in there, Bobby? Steve, sorry, I'm losing my mind here.
I thought you were talking to somebody in the back. Oh no, I think we touched everything we wanted to talk about: the Showdown, SEMA, the car, the SOC. So yeah, see you guys in a week. It's coming quick.
Absolutely. So definitely come by the booth, and we'll come check you guys out. And like I say, don't work too hard the rest of the week, but get that thing done and get it ready to go. I can't wait to see it and hear it, and we'll look forward to seeing you. But thanks for being on the show. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for all the support and everything you do for us as well, because it is a two-way street. We help you, and you definitely help us. So that's the only way this stuff works. It's not one-sided. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. And everybody who's driving, travel safe, drive safe to SEMA, and the rest of you guys flying. We'll see you guys in a week. And definitely got to try to get some food or something one of the nights. Be great.
Yeah. And I do think JW is not with us, unfortunately, but I don't know if they got the ability. I don't know if we got any other questions real quickly, if anyone's got for Steve. They're back there stumbling real quick. There we go. Ashley Larry says, hey, Bill, how can we bid on those? The only way. Why don't you tell us, Steve?
Yeah, you basically have to be at the show. They are going to be part of the raffle, so not necessarily an auction. So the more raffle tickets you buy, the better chance you're going to have at winning those. And the raffle gets pretty crazy. You guys are going to spend $300, $400, $500 on tickets, and it ends up usually benefiting them because they'll walk away with thousands of dollars worth of stuff. Yeah. So yeah, come to the Showdown. Experience some awesome car audio. The hotel is cheap. Make it a quick little vacay and try to walk away with some really rare stuff from you guys.
Some cool stuff. All right, we got one more question, Bill, before we let Steve go. I know he's like getting all itchy to crank on stuff. So Keith McLeod says, Steve, what is your favorite old school SBL build 95 to 2010? What a great question. Favorite old school build?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. Like back then I didn't experience a lot of them. Could just see what I saw in magazines, I guess all my gate says I might as well just stay with KICKER. Right. Seeing all those woofers sticking out the back end and wondering how that even works, because I knew nothing about infinite baffle back then. And it's pretty gnarly.
What's interesting about that vehicle is it looked infinite baffle, but it really wasn't. The inside of that vehicle was 24 cubic foot, and you had 48 woofers. So each one of those 10s effectively was firing into a sealed, enclosure that basically gave them half a cubic foot apiece. So you were actually sitting in the enclosure versus an enclosure inside a vehicle. So it was kind of a different concept. And let's just throw that out there that that was kind of one of the concepts that PPI did when they first started that vehicle, and it was really cool. And when they had the big old port hold, or the little safe door that you had to get in and out of it was really cool. And it's just like I say, it's a lot of fun to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah absolutely. One other build that kind of sticks out is the one that what's Scott's last name? It was a Pioneer build. I think it was the first 170. And it was like all aluminum interior, the baffle. Do you know which one I'm talking about? Do you remember?
I vaguely remember it, and I think that was back when the Pioneer had the Premier Series woofers.
Yep, exactly.
I think that was it.
Yeah, I don't remember Scott's last name. No, it wasn't
Not
Buwalda.
Buwalda, was it?
No, it might not even be Scott, but I remember it was definitely a Pioneer build, all aluminum. That one was pretty rad too.
Yeah, in fact, believe it or not, the Bronco was all aluminum too. All the woofers are mounted on half-inch thick aluminum, basically sheet that was, cut out for all of the woofers. I mean, it was gnarly. And all the aircraft aluminum that was in that thing. I mean, the honeycomb aluminum panels. I mean, it was really pretty cool. And that little 9-inch steering wheel. I remember sitting in that thing trying to drive it. And I remember getting in that thing in Texas at heat wave, and it stalled half in and half out of the trailer. And it was like 108 degrees, and I couldn't get in or out of the thing. So I was just stuck in it for like an hour. I wasn't sure I was going to survive that one. But we did.
That's
All
funny.
right,
Didn't
Steve.
that one thing I want to ask you about the gates, because Drew was telling me that the door itself, maybe it was the passenger or the driver door, was like engineered somewhat like the NASA's shuttle door, vacuum closed or something crazy like that, right? Is that right?
Well, what we did is I do remember working on the doors and making a whole network. I actually used Bondo and the old frosting spreaders and made a whole bead around and then gasketed that, tight. But we weren't allowed to use any vacuum or any pressure, for the SPL stuff. But
Okay.
it was crazy. I mean, the side windows on that thing were, an inch thick, 1.5 inches, I think, on the side doors. And then the front windshield was 3 inches thick. It's crazy, that talking about that and, people using concrete in some of these vehicles. Hey, it's solid. It's just heavy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Speaking of. All right, cool. Well, like I said,
Steve,
hope you
get
guys
back
all have
after
a
it.
safe trip. Yep. I'm
You
going to get back
too.
there.
You don't have as far to travel as we do, but we'll see when we get there, and looking forward to hanging out. And like you say, we definitely got to grab some food one of those nights, or a couple of them. Oh, why not make it a couple?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well,
Okay,
take care,
guys.
Steve. We'll see you soon. And guys, thanks for tuning in for that. We got a bunch more, so don't go away. We just got to let Steve get back to doing what he was doing. He was nice enough to break away because this is crunch time. If you guys have never experienced the SEMA crunch, it is crazy. Or the CES crunch we used to have as well. Had two of them, had SEMA and then CES. But
Yeah.
getting those
One-
vehicles done can be a challenge.
Yep. All right, guys. Have a nice night.
Cool. Take care.
you.
All right. So, guys, as we keep going, once again, we always got to say thank you to good old Andy McGill and tune in for Living Loud with Andy. I mean, that's always a great show, and Andy is such a great supporter of Kicker. And, there's a lot of cool stuff that they do on his show, and, there's a lot of good people tuning in, for answering questions and, talking about, some of the things we've talked about and basically continuing this whole theory that we've been doing. So do not forget about that. If you guys like, what you're seeing, hit the like and subscribe button, let us know. The more likes we get, the more cool stuff we can do, and keep going. And obviously, if there's something you guys want to see, there's a subject, a topic, a demonstration you want to see, someone you want to get on. Like I said, we had Wayne Harris on here a while ago, and don't forget to stay tuned for the Wayne Harris giveaway with the Term Pro. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And as I look over the notes, we kind of went a little bit backwards. We need to get Steve, in here and out of here so we can keep getting back and working. We've got, obviously, upcoming events. There's a bunch of SPL events going on. SEMA's definitely coming up. That's going to be coming up Tuesday of next week. So literally 1 week from today is SEMA. It's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And, of course, then the Showdown is going to be Saturday and Sunday out in Prim. So it's going to be an exciting week for cars and car audio. So that being said, let's take a break. And when we come back from the break, we're going to do the installs, the fails, questions, and we're going to give away some stuff. So come back in just about a minute.
Music is my passion, my livelihood, and it's in my DNA. My pals at KICKER Marine Audio gave me a chance to take the music, what I love and listen to, at home, on stage, and in the car, onto the water. Hi, this is Jason Bonham, and I want to say a big thank you to my friends at KICKER Audio for inspiring the songs and the stories behind the music that inspires America. Go overboard!
Thanks for coming back, guys. That little minute there gave me a chance to breathe a little bit, and I've been talking a lot up here, and it's so exciting. I mean, the whole world of SPL and hair tricks, I mean, it's so crazy. And whoever would have thought that, car audio would have evolved into this? And one of my trivia questions I always ask people is, what year did aftermarket car audio get started? So that might be an interesting. Why don't you guys go ahead, and if you know what year car audio started, go ahead and put it up in the chat group there, and let's see if we can get anybody that gets close to the right year, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But let's go ahead and look at some really cool installs. Like we like to do, we like to showcase some of these fun things. And the first one we're going to showcase, if Ernie will go ahead and pull up my laptop. This is one that I just got pictures of this today from Jeff, and Jeff, he's going to have his boat at SEMA, and of course the mobile audio experience, and it really is one of the loudest boats I have ever heard in my life. I didn't know a boat could be that loud, but man, you talk about a lot of speakers on that thing. But here's a neat little project that he did, which it's all about creativity and ingenuity, and he's actually taken the KMTCs. And he's taken the brackets, he's modified the brackets to fit together. The person that had this boat wanted more speakers on the boat. There just really wasn't room to mount them side by side. So he got very creative and made the brackets so the brackets actually bolt together and clamp around the bar. Here's the little head-on picture of that setup. And then here's a little bit closer where you can see the way that the brackets actually just mate together. How cool is that? I mean, it took a lot of work to do that, but it's definitely worth it in the long run. And man, that thing's got to sound great. And actually, it's going to be pretty darn loud too. So another cool boat install, a lot of KICKER coax speakers and the KMTCs up on the top. Cool lighting with RGB lighting, and this would be the amp rack. And no, these are not marine amplifiers, but it's a very clean amp rack, and you got good power for this setup. So just a nice, clean, pretty awesome install. Here's a picture of the inside of the boat with the KM 10 or 12 inch. I can't tell which size it is right in the middle. You've got a bunch of 8-inch coax down below. You got 8-inch coax, 6-inch. They are just completely packing this boat full of KICKER speakers. But one of the things that I thought was really cool about this install, if you notice, that is a KMTC tower can, but that is a KM 10-inch woofer. So it's the KMTC 11-inch cans that he's gone ahead and retrofitted the woofers, so he's got woofers up on the tower as well. So really great idea, and being in those enclosures, I mean, talk about great mid-bass and just getting even more coverage, and what an ingenious way to do that. Just take a set of the cans that maybe the drivers had been pulled out for something else, because I have seen people take the drivers out of those and just mount them like a coax speaker, and you can do that. It's not the recommended way to do it, but I've seen people do it. So there's a lot of different things you can do, but yeah, a set of 10-inch woofers up on the towers essentially has a three-way system. So you've got the 10-inch woofers, you've got the 9-inch mid, and then of course that horn with that 1.7-inch compression driver. Here's another view from the tower, looking at all the speakers, and then you see on the back, and there you see the two marine 10-inch woofers hiding on the back for a little bit of extra coverage. So pretty cool install. And of course, there they are lit up, and got the controller on the back. And then another nice clean install. This is done by one of our really good retailers out there. Nice clean install with the TCW RT enclosure with that reflex subwoofer and the nice recessed KXMA amplifier. Here's a good view of the dash of this vehicle. It's a gorgeous C10 truck. It's got the marine head unit mounted down below, and I can't tell if that's going to be the KMC4 or the KMC5 from here. I think it's the KMC5 from the looks of it. But here's a view of the outside of the truck. Pro Audio, like I say, they do a great job. Cool installs and really neat stuff. And then here's another one I just actually came across today, and I don't know where this is from. I just actually found it browsing through the internet. I love the sign at the top. It says, "Life's too short." But what a cool install. Talk about a different mix of drivers. But hey, it looks great. I'm sure it sounds absolutely incredible as well. So cool installs there. So I'm going to close out of this, and now we're going to go to obviously the other one of my favorite little sections. We got to go to the fails, and I think I've got 4 of them for you today. And we always talk about proper grounding, the best way to ground something, and using the little plastic Christmas trees to ground your ground wire to the body. And I don't think they even scraped the paint off of this one. That's probably not going to be the best ground. And looking at that ring terminal, I don't even think it's barely even crimped. So This install's destined to have issues right from the get-go, right from the ground up, so to speak. Here's another one, and I came across this one, and it's interesting, but you see the fact that you've got almost standoffs on the screws. The speaker doesn't mate to the mounting surface, and that's the whole point of a speaker, is to make pressure and, alternating pressure and vacuum. And when the wave can actually wrap right around and travel back and forth, it completely cancels the output of the speaker. And I've seen this, more cases than I really like to admit. I've seen it on really expensive show vehicles, where for some reason people have put standoffs on the speakers, or they'll put a woofer on a flat panel and put standoffs with the woofer mounted on the backside, so you can literally reach around the front of the speaker and grab the backside of the basket. So definitely want to make sure those things are sealed. You're not going to be doing any hair tricks with a installation like this, and it's not going to sound very good. It's kind of plenty of high frequencies, but not low frequencies. For those that like a lot of tweeters. So we're talking about, haircut city here. I can't even imagine how bright that would be. And those look like a little Audax TW51A tweeters, which are some of the most popular tweeters out there. They're in just about everything. But somehow this guy must have got a hold of a closeout on these, or, picked up a box that fell off the truck or train and decided, hey, let's wire up, 100 tweeters or however many it is. But, oh, God, no, thanks. I like my hearing the way it is. And the last one, it's just kind of a funny one that, I love this little picture. It's a stereo to mono converter. Just plug one ear and then it's back to mono. So it's just some kind of fun stuff for that. So going back to the, if you guys got questions, on, product, installs, anything like that, support at kicker.com. We've got a great, group of guys that answer questions. And we're going to go ahead and pull up 3 of the questions we got on the line. So let's see what kind of answers we can get. And if you guys have questions, please send them in. We always have fun with them. Even if you want to make them up, we'll see what we can do with them and have a little bit of fun with it. So first one, I just hooked up my amp, and now I'm getting a buzzing noise with the engine. Is this normal? I don't really know how to answer that question, because a long time ago it was normal, but it wasn't right. It was very common to have engine noise. If it's one of our amplifiers, that's one of the reasons why we have the speaker level input, so you're not tying your signal to chassis ground. With an RCA output on even an aftermarket head unit, the shield of the RCAs, it's almost always tied to the chassis of the radio, which is tied to chassis ground. So therefore you can get engine noise, you can have ground loop problems, you can have induced noise. But with the KICKER amplifier since 2010 with the fit inputs, you can run speaker level right into the RCA input of the amplifiers, and you will never have engine noise unless it's got engine noise in that factory source unit, but you're never going to have any miswiring problems. So that's probably what's going on there. You probably got an amplifier, because you don't say which one it is, that you're using the RCA output, or you've got bad grounding like we've seen before. But, good grounding, good quality cables, and use the high level input, with the fit input on the KICKER amplifiers, and you should never have engine noise. So I love my KICKER front speakers, but when I crank them up really loud, the tweeters cut out. I turn the volume down and they come back on. What gives? Well, that's actually protection built into the tweeters. Like amplifiers, they've got heat sinks to dissipate the heat, and they have a thermal protection circuit. When an amp gets too hot, it shuts down for a little bit of time until it cools off and it comes back on. And I didn't grab one of those. I was thinking I was going to grab one of those speakers earlier and bring it out. But on the back of our speakers, and sometimes inside in the pole piece for the tweeter, we've got a little disc about the size of my little fingernail. It's kind of, like a rust brownish color. That's what we call a poly switch. What that does, it's connected in series with the tweeter. If you run too much power to it, it increases in impedance and takes power away from the tweeter to keep your tweeters from blowing. So if the tweeters are cutting out when you turn the volume up and then you turn it back down and they come back on, chances are you're overdriving the amplifier or the radio. You need a little bit more power to make it play that loud safely and cleanly without the distortion. Or, like I say, just don't turn it up that loud and you'll be fine. So, next question, looks like another amplifier question. I just bought a KXA 801 off eBay and hooked it up to my 12-inch subwoofers. The bass does not sound as deep, as clean as my old amp. Is there any warranty on this amp since I bought it off eBay? Well, one of the things about KICKER is we strive for good service. If it's bought off eBay, it's probably used and the warranty isn't transferable. But our service department, it doesn't matter what's wrong with it. Generally, it's anywhere from $50 to $75 to fix any equipment that we still have the parts to fix. And it's probably about from 2008 till present. So any of those amplifiers, even if you bought it off eBay, you got it from a buddy, bought it off a pawn shop, if there is a problem with it, send it back to us. We can fix it. It may not be free, but we can fix it. But going back to the question about sound quality is, if we go back to one of the previous shows where we talked about the setup on amplifiers, if you don't know what all the controls on the amplifier mean, it can make a big difference. And some amplifiers have more features than others. And the KXA actually has a variable subsonic filter from 10 to 80 hertz. So if you mistakenly think that that's the crossover and you turn it up to 80 hertz, it's going to play very little below 80 hertz because that's the high frequency pass. So that's called the subsonic filter, and it's variable on that amplifier. And also setting the crossover point correctly will make a big difference as well. So I would assume if the amplifier is playing, you're not going to be sacrificing sound quality because most amplifiers sound fairly similar, not exactly the same, but if there's a big difference in sound quality between a previous amp and the one you just installed, generally it's going to be in the setup. So go back and find our session we did a couple episodes ago and watch the tuning of the amplifier. We'll explain what all the controls mean and how to set them up and how to get you going in the right direction. So cool. Well, that takes care of, pretty much all the paperwork end of it. You guys have probably been sitting there watching the show, and if you guys haven't heard about, the speakers that are in front of me, these are the new Street Series speakers. That you saw pictures of them in the Bronco. This is where we're going to debut. They'll actually be out at the SEMA show. So we have the 9-inch square mid and the 7-inch square mid. These are, basically Street Series. They're ultra efficient mid ranges. So you're looking at 300 watts power handling on the 9, and it has a 94 dB sensitivity. And you've got 250 watts power handling on the 7-inch, and it's 92 dB sensitivity. We also have two of the Street Series tweeters. We have the 1-inch, which, 50 watts RMS, and we do have replaceable diaphragms, which are available for these, because these are going to get abused, and there really isn't any warranty on burnt coils, but you can buy the diaphragm so you can actually, do the service, take the screws out of the back of the speaker, and you can replace that diaphragm. So we have it in a 1-inch, and we have that also in a 2-inch, and these speakers are really efficient. Now, the efficiency means power in versus power out. The higher the number, the louder it plays with the same amount of power. And every 3 dB is twice as loud, where you're talking about 92 dB of sensitivity on the 7-inch square, the ST7s. The 1.5-inch tweeter is at 108 dB sensitivity. So extremely, of course, the smaller one, the 1-inch, is at 106. So very efficient. They do not take a lot of power to play really, really loud. You see them with the square brackets on the front. If you want a round bracket, you can actually mount this through hole. So just drill a hole in your panel and you actually insert this from the back side. And with this little locking ring or with the square locking ring, you can do either way. So both of these speakers come with both the round and the square faceplates. And you get a resistor if they're just a little bit too bright. If you're using 1 mid per tweeter, the resistor is probably going to be a great thing to put on the tweeters because the tweeter is going to be a little overpowering with that high sensitivity. And they also come with this 6 dB per octave crossover, which is going to cross them over somewhere in the neighborhood about 5,500 hertz at 6 dB per octave. So these are on the way. These will be shipping very, very soon. And if you guys happen to come to SEMA, you'll see them in the Bronco. So great speakers, and that's the Street Series, the ST Series. So we probably need to give away some things tonight. So first of all, let's go through our 3 general kicker winners, the drawings that we do every time we do the show. So I'm going to have Bill pull up the names and throw them up on the screen here. Bill, who is our 3rd place winner, which is going to get the EB400, the wireless earbuds that are weather resistant. They're going to get the gray kicker t-shirt and the kicker koozie. Who is the 3rd prize winner for this evening, Bill? And drum roll, please. That's going to be Steve K. from New York. So Steve K. from New York, congratulations. You're the winner of the EB400s. And also watch for an email from Bill Frog. He's going to ask for your name, your address, your telephone number, and he's going to ask for your shirt size. So make sure you respond to that so we can send these prizes out to you, and congratulations on that. 2nd prize winner is going to get the Tabor headphones, which are a Bluetooth over-the-ear headphone, and that's going to be the 2nd place winner. And that name is going to be, drum roll please, And there's the crawl. Ken W. from Pennsylvania. So once again, watch for that email from Bill Frog. And you win the Tabor headphones, the Kicker koozie, and the Kicker Unmasked Gray t-shirt. Which brings us to tonight's grand prize kicker winner with the kicker gear. And that's going to be, drum roll please, and that's going to be Kibo L from Indiana. So congratulations, everybody. Watch for that email from Bill, and we'll be sure to get those sent out to you. Hope you guys can come out and see us at the SEMA show, and also you can come out to the Showdown. But we have one final contest, and that's going to be the winner of the Term Pro, which is Wayne Harris's computer design software program. And this really is a cool program. I know that most of the people in this building use this program. We've known Wayne for a long time. If you missed the show where we had him as a guest, go back and watch that show. You talk about a man that's absolutely brilliant and very, very humble, and the wealth of knowledge that this guy has is unbelievable. And this is a software program that he basically is pioneered and developed, and we're giving it away to, actually I think we got 3 different versions, or 3 different winners are going to win this program. So tonight's winner of the Term Pro Unmasked Live giveaway is going to be, who is that, Bill? Who's going to win this? And that is Chris E. in Washington State. So Chris, we'll be in contact with you to make sure you get this program from Wayne. If I remember right, it is fully electronic, so you'll be able to get online with probably an unlock key or a passcode and unlock the program, and you will have one of the finest, and easiest to use computer, enclosure designs software that's been made. So we love this program. It's easy to use. It's easy to learn. It's great. So congratulations on winning that. So guys, thanks again for tuning in tonight. Hope you had fun, and hope you can make it out to see us. Once again, hit that like and subscribe button. Any suggestions for other shows? Make sure you tune in 2 weeks. We'll be back on the air again. That's going to be Tuesday night at 7:30 Central Time, right here on the Kicker YouTube and Facebook channel, right here from wonderful Oklahoma, where yes, it finally rained out here. It's been a long time. Well, we've had rain the past 2 days. And in case you guys were wondering, all I'm going to say is Texas Roadhouse. We'll leave it at that. So thanks, guys. Tune in 2 weeks. We'll see you then, and have a great time, and be safe, and keep turning it up.